morning and good to have you with us in the 9 p.m. debate here on the Urban Debate. And well, after a lot of build-up, after a lot of anticipation, after weeks and actually years of saying now, a few days later, a few months later, well, almost there, will he, won't he? Rajinikanth today finally came out and said, well, it's not about now or never about joining politics, but it's no for now. Rajinikanth will not be launching his political party. It was supposed to be announced in the next 2 days. That's what he had said about a month ago. And he said it's now or never. And it is time to get into politics. But within a month, he has changed that decision, citing health concerns. Now, his debut in politics was hugely anticipated, and not just by his fans, but even those in the political arena already. And there was a lot of speculation on what it would mean if he takes the plunge and who he would go with, who would he back, would he be able to garner any support or dent the political fortunes of the existing parties. But this is what Rajinikanth said today as he released this statement, that he sees health complications as a warning by God. He also gave and cited the COVID outbreak that happened on the sets of the Anna The shoot. Remember, one of the crew members there had recently tested positive. He says he holds himself responsible for the incurred losses, and he thinks that if he goes out and meets and campaigns and holds events, he'll be risking people's lives as well. So he's put personal bonds over state politics for now. Rajinikanth himself has been suffering from multiple ailments, including a big issue with his kidney. Recently, over blood pressure issues, he was in the hospital also for several days. And just after getting released from the hospital, he's made this decision. So now what happens? Many said, could it be a three-corner fight in state elections? It's now being again reduced to an AIADMK versus the DMK battle. There's a voter base, the fan base of Rajinikanth that is now up for grabs. Remember, he had made his political views on many of the issues already very clear, even before he had launched his party. Now, that doesn't mean that he still can't go and campaign or endorse any of the key parties. That is still left, but he won't be contesting himself. BJP and AIADMK perhaps together can focus on, the staunch Hindu vote bank that otherwise Rajinikanth would have probably looked at as well. There is now no other rival to the BJP as far as right-wing politics is concerned. And it will be interesting to see what this does even to the AIADMK-BJP equation and how that progresses from here on. So, let's say hello to the panelists who are joining us right now and ask them this question: how is this decision going to impact the upcoming election season? Mr. B.A. Pugayandi, spokesperson for the AIADMK, will be joining us shortly. Mr. Sriram Seshadri, political analyst with us. M. Bharat, associate editor with News Today, and G.C. Shekhar, associate editor with Outlook magazine, also joining us this evening. G.C. Shekhar, let me start off with you. And this time it looked as if he might just announce a political party by 31st and get into the political arena. But, is it health reasons? What do you think has caused this decision this time around?
Definitely the health reason, because even before he made this announcement, if you remember, he had circulated a note among some of his confidants, wondering whether it will be possible to get into politics considering the pandemic, and then that he himself is on immunosuppressants because of his kidney transplant, and that it should make him even more vulnerable, and whether if he falls ill amidst the election campaign, will it not disrupt the entire plans of the party that he had launched? So he had an open discussion with some of his confidants, but I think some of them advised him that his health, his protection can be assured by creating a bio bubble, just as it happened during the IPL and so on, and then he can be protected. But then Rajinikanth was confident that this could be achieved, and that is why he went ahead and announced and for the first week of December that he'll be announcing the party on December 31st, and the party will be launched in January after Pongal. But reality struck him when he was shooting for Anate in Hyderabad. Even in a small captive uh, place like the studio, where every situation is controlled, where you have a lot of protocols in place, in spite of all that, four people tested positive for COVID. And of course, Rajini did not test positive, but that really told upon his mental health, his psychological health, which is one reason why his BP shot up. It started fluctuating, and he had to be hospitalized. And now he says that a fluctuating BP is not good for his transplanted kidneys, which is all true. And it forced him to have a rethink about getting into politics. And then his family also got into play. I think his daughters particularly insisted that his health was paramount compared to his political innings. And then I think he finally bit the bullet and came out saying that enough of politics. Here, I don't want to expose myself further. And because of the crowd that will be coming to see me, I don't want to expose the public as well. Because he also did not want people who would have invested in his politics, in his party, would be putting in their time, effort, and money, becoming MLA candidates and so on. And then suddenly finding that Rajini is not there in the picture anymore. He didn't want to leave them in the lurch. I think he made a very honest call. I think we have to appreciate him for that.
Okay.
He was open about it. And I think Rajini once again proved that he is different from others.
Okay, Mr. Sriram Seshadri, do you agree? And would this really change the way you were expecting the election campaign season and the dynamics to play out?
Good evening. I agree partially with Shekhar that he made a honest decision. At least he put a full stop to all the speculations, for sure, for the 24, 25 years of speculation. But didn't he know 3 weeks or in the month of November all these circumstances? It is not that it has developed afresh, right? So having said that, definitely, we pray for Rajinikanth. We sympathize with his health conditions, and no doubt about it. And then a lot of us are fans, hardcore fans of his acting. So we wish him well. But as a political, when he wants to come into the public life, most of his decisions or most of his actions definitely would be up for criticism. And that's where, a lot of people are finding it disappointing, especially when he announced in the month of November, come what may, now or never, and then now he is just backing out. And it is fully understandable. But the political situation in Tamil Nadu is not going to change, may have a big change. Even when he was in the race or he was planning to contest, it would have still been a two-front contest. Probably the third front would be there, but Rajinikanth would not have made a major dent on, DMK. At least DMK is the only party that would be feeling very bad that Mr. Rajinikanth is no longer in the electoral politics, because Rajinikanth would have taken away the pro-ADMK and then pro-BJP votes and anti-DMK votes. So I think, BJP now will have a strong Hindutva card. How much of it would work is a different story. But at least, whatever little they have, that would have been taken away by Rajinikanth. And then, that is, BJP would celebrate this, decision. But having said that, I think it's a mature call, because, definitely a lot of people will be criticizing him. He's not afraid of those criticism. I think he took a mature call, and then, he made this very clear that he will no longer be in electoral politics or not start his party. I think we all should appreciate his decision.
Okay. No, obviously he needs to also factor in his health and take care of that, and perhaps if it wasn't the pandemic year and his own health issues that have come up in the last few weeks, it would have been a different thing. But Bharat, do you agree that this will benefit the BJP and AIA DMK combined? I mean, if they are still, as we progress along?
Let me tell you frankly, it will benefit both AIADMK as well as DMK. The Hindutva votes, because Rajinikanth was harping on spiritual politics.
Correct.
So obviously he would have made a dent in the Hindu votes. But at the same time, the anti-incumbency vote was fully transferred to DMK. Now with Rajinikanth in the fray, and a credible face like Rajinikanth, though there is Kamala Hassan, he contested 2019 Lok Sabha polls, and you know what was the outcome? So technically, that anti-incumbency votes, as well as a section of minority votes, mind you, Rajinikanth fan base has members from all castes and all religions coming together. So obviously, a section of minority votes too was expected to go in Rajinikanth's favor. So in a way, it is a breather for both AIADMK, BJP combined, as also DMK. But one thing is very clear. See, till 3rd December, Rajinikanth was very clear. He said, now or never, and he is going to come. So the major worry here is the problems that he faced in Hyderabad, the 3 days of hospitalization that he went through. And mind you, it's not just physical ailment, the mental agony that he would have gone through in the hospital for the 3 days. Because in 2011, I was there, the way we saw Rajinikanth went to Singapore for treatment. And last February, I had a personal audition with Rajinikanth, and I spoke to him for some 20 minutes in person. And he was very clear, and he had some agendas. He spelled out how he's going to go about. But after 4-5 days of a meeting, this pandemic broke out. So technically, the pandemic situation has restricted his movement, and he is very clear. He is very forthright and honest in his thing. He said, I may be subject to criticism, but the point is, this is what maximum I could achieve in this condition.
But Bharat,
So what he has
is
said
this
he has
the final
tendered an
one,
open
or is
apology to his
the door
supporters, his
still open?
fans, and
Is the door still open, or is this the final decision? Maybe at some later point, would he still explore it?
I will go with Mr. GC Shekhar, because I'll call it a full stop. See, there won't be any more commas as far as Rajinikanth is concerned, because he has cited health reason. Had it been any other reason, fine. We would have looked at him to rethink or do anything. But as far as he cited his health reason, and mind you, Rajinikanth is a star for me. Rajinikanth is a neta for people over here, his supporters. Mind you, he has got a wife, he has got children, he's a family man. And if it is my father, I would have certainly said, at this condition, I would say, better stay home, take rest. So this is what their family would have done. So I feel he has been forthright and honest, and he has expressed his situation very clearly, very honestly in the 3-page statement. So that says everything. And I believe there is no going back in whatever Rajinikanth has said.
Okay, so, well, does it benefit BJP and AIADMK, or does it give advantage to DMK more? Shekhar, where do you stand on that?
Actually, I had written in our Outlook website today that both the parties would have suffered if Rajinikanth had stepped in, because he would have attracted both the anti-DMK votes and the anti-ADMK votes. I drew an example comparison with Vijaykanth in 2006. He launched his party, and he was able to garner around 10% votes, even when Jayalalitha and Karunanidhi were around. And Rajinikanth definitely would have doubled that percentage of votes. He definitely would have started with around 20% of votes, and then as the campaign progressed, as he went about campaigning, I think he would have made that the chemistry, the Talaivar chemistry would have worked, and definitely it will. He would have made an impact and would have eaten into the ADMK and DMK votes. Both these parties were worried about his arrival. It's not just the DMK. Definitely the ADMK was also worried, because a lot of the Hindu-going Tamils who normally vote for Rajinikanth angle of spiritual politics. BJP, for example, it was hoping that the votes that Rajinikanth gets in the 2021 elections will be transferred to it at a later stage, because Rajinikanth would have been a one election phenomenon. He could have lasted more than one election. Now he's not even contesting that election. So the BJP is another big loser, and I am sure that the election would now again boil down to DMK versus ADMK. Rajinikanth would have been a very powerful third front, a third force, I would say. Now that is not so. So whoever comes as third front now will be a distant third.
Surely, Mr. Sriram Seshadri, nobody sees Kamal Hassan becoming that third front or an alternative force.
I disagree with both GC and Bharat that even Mr. Rajinikanth would not have been a third force.
Okay.
Because in my opinion, Rajinikanth would have hardly got about 5 to 8% votes, especially that would be AIDMK's and BJP's, my assessment, probably few spillover of anti-DMK vote would have come to him. But Kamala Hassan, as such, is more of an urban vote catcher. Okay, so he is not a pan-Tamil Nadu vote, vote catcher. So he would actually be, and his ideology more or less aligns with the Dravidian parties and communists put together. And Kamal Hassan will still not be that alternate to both the Dravidian parties. He is once again of the same fabric of the Dravidian politics and to a major extent non-nationalistic politics. Okay, last 50 years, India, Tamil Nadu probably is far behind when it comes to the nationalistic politics. And Kamal Hassan of the same fabric. So what he is definitely not considered as a third alternative before, and even now he will not be considered as a third alternative. But Mr. Kamal Hassan will definitely make a huge dent for DMK in urban constituencies like Chennai, Coimbatore, Madurai, Trichy, these constituencies. But other than that, Kamal Hassan is not a force to reckon with.
But is there a sense still within the political system of Tamil Nadu that even now it's still a lot about Dravidian politics, that even in this election season, that is what is going to work? We heard from AIADMK just a couple of days ago reminding BJP that your saffron agenda is not going to work here, it's still the Dravidian parties.
It is still a Dravidian parties. It is between ADMK and DMK for sure. Probably BJP would have upped their voting percentage because even in 2016 election, if you take the data, at least on 22 constituencies, BJP had more than 20% vote share. So they contested though 83 constituencies. So it is brought down to about 3% vote share all put together for Tamil Nadu. So if you look at it, if BJP is concentrating only on their strength areas or constituencies where they have a cadre base or the support, I think BJP would still be marginally ahead of their vote share. But across pan Tamil Nadu, except DMK and ADMK, nobody has a major vote share. Probably Congress, barring Congress, who has a support pan Tamil Nadu, but their percentage vote also has dwindled over a period of time. So it is still Dravidian politics that is going to be the key in 2021 in Tamil Nadu, in my opinion.
Okay, let me also say good evening to Mr. Pugayanti, who's with us. Mr. Pugayanti, before I ask you to respond as an AIADMK leader and spokesperson, respond as a politician and a political expert, what do you think will be the impact of this decision that Rajinikanth has taken today on the election next year?
We welcome, first of all, we welcome and respect Rajinikanth's decision. Now, I have mentioned so many times, madam, yesterday also, that decision not entering the politics, Rajinikanth's decision not entering the politics during the prevailing COVID situation and keeping his health condition, everything. Today, the cinema is over. The cinema is over, continuously going on these past 3 years, mentioning every day, coming, going, coming. That I have mentioned very clearly, he will not come, he will not enter the politics. It is happening today, very clearly announced. I appreciating because till the false announcement, the game is over now, end. That everyone is telling, nobody knows. Suppose if you enter, then contest the election only, we will come to know the capacity. But nobody knows what he is going to get to 2%, 3%, 4% vote. So the which way he announced, welcoming that, absolutely no doubt. But here, no need of anyone's support for our ruling party, AIADMK. But the alliance is there, definitely strengthened, no doubt about it. But that purpose, we cannot go behind anyone. That is very important here. So still our party is, by 2016, again, I am mentioning, without the alliance, we formed the government. This is all the alliance with the BJP, DMDK, then PMK, and the Vasan party, Tamil Maanila Congress, and everyone. That the middle election, that is the Lok Sabha election, only the alliance. Now this is the situation.
Let
So
me
anyhow,
ask Mr. Pugayendi if any of our other panelists disagree with you. Here is the AIADMK saying, we've always said he's never going to enter politics. It's not going to happen. He will not even be successful if he does. Does anybody disagree with that, with what he's saying right now?
No, I because that the
Okay, let me
No,
let,
but
no,
see,
Mr. Pugayendi, let
he
me ask
definitely
this
wanted to
question.
enter.
Bharat wants to come in here. Yes.
The
Yes,
point
sir.
to ponder is Pugayendi sir may say like they are not, they were very sure Rajini won't be coming, but on December 3rd when Rajinikanth announced that he will be foraying to politics, the first person to stick out his neck and say, in case Rajinikanth coming to politics, we are ready for coalition was Mr. O. Pannirselvam. That we have to take into account. So it was O. Pannirselvam who said they are ready for an alliance with Rajinikanth. So it may be individually one person may say like we knew, we knew, but he's the convener of AIADMK. I mean, he is the party. So he was the one who said we are ready for alliance with Rajinikanth.
Mr. Bharat, that our honorable chief minister told, let him register the party, then start the party. We will talk about that. Am I correct or not? Edapadi Padinisamy already told this. The letter only that OPS, that is the chief of the party, endorsed that, then also told that the alliance, suppose tomorrow you start the party, if come for alliance, ready to consider like that, OPS told. I accept. I'm not denying that. But that no idea, because his health condition is not good. So that everyone is about that. We don't want to trouble him. That what is the decision? His decision is very correct. I am appreciating.
Let me just point this out that even then, not too many political parties, not DMK or any others, were willing to talk to us about it and discuss with us, what it does to the political setup. Not even today. DMK still doesn't want to come and talk to us, or acknowledge anything to do with Rajinikanth's political ambitions. But let me ask you, Mr. Seshadri, was there a sense of nervousness in all parties? And today, secretly, would they be heaving a sigh of relief?
Definitely, there was a huge amount of nervousness with the ADMK. And one of the reasons why DMK never commented about was because they knew that Rajinikanth in the political arena, especially on electoral politics, is going to be useful to them because, it is going to, take the gap away between DMK and ADMK. See, all said and done, DMK front today, may still be ahead of polls. But, if you look at EPS, popularity has grown in the last 1 year, especially during Corona and then post several other actions. There is a huge amount of popularity amongst the people, and probably one of the good administration and governance provided by, Mr. Edapadi Padinisamy. That is a common people's feeling. So, if at all, and that Rajinikanth would have definitely taken away some of the benefits or some of the accumulated, goodwill that the people are showing, Rajinikanth would have taken away. And that is where, many of the ADMK people commented about his, entry into the politics. But DMK safely kept themselves away because they didn't want to unnecessarily antagonize. And actually they probably were praying to the God that they don't believe in, that Rajinikanth should be in the electoral politics, and that's when they will have much better chance or much easier chance of winning. Today it's up for grabs. I wouldn't if you had asked me 1 year back, who would have won the elections, I would have said DMK definitely had a significant margin ahead of anybody else. But today it is up for grabs, and I think it is going to be a very close call, and maybe even a coalition government in the making. Mr. Pugayendi may not agree with me because he should not, as a spokesperson to ADMK.
I accept, sir. I am appreciating that. You are correct.
You
Thank you,
accept
sir.
there is a possibility of a coalition government?
No, coalition.
So you accepted that on the show, sir.
Mr. Pugayendi's frame has frozen at a very inopportune time. Just when we were trying to get a response from him on that point, we seem to have lost that feed. And we're going to try and get that back. But Mr. Pugayendi, can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Your response.
Yeah, but because the sharing is no question of sharing. It is impossible here. It is not other states like BJP where are all dominating. That is all correct. Okay, no problem. Included the Bihar and other places, Karnataka, but not here. They're the smallest party here in Tamil Nadu. They want to grow. They want to develop something. It is impossible. Only Dravidian ideology overcomes no other way. Only the
Mr. Sheshadri, you wanted to make a point before I go to Shekhar?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't say that ADMK and BJP will be the coalition partner and then coalition government.
No,
I said
correct. Yeah.
now it is going to be could be a coalition government, whichever Dravidian party wins. I feel that there is going to be a much about heat about it's not a foregone conclusion that one is stronger than the other.
Okay.
That is what my point is.
So let me ask this question, and let me take this question across to Shekhar. Shekhar, how is it that a few years ago, after the demise of Jayalalitha and Karunanidhi, there was so much conversation about this political vacuum that's been created in Tamil Nadu, and the mess that the AIADMK leaders were creating with all the infighting, Sasikala being sent off to jail. But today, we are still so unclear, and we don't know which of these two parties will be able to, get the people's vote.
I think the credit for filling the political vacuum must mostly go to Edappadi Palaniswamy, because he saw that his government was basically unstable, inherently unstable. So he made peace with O. Pannirselvam, and despite the split caused by TTV Dinakaran, he was able to consolidate his position. He was able to win the by-elections that were held along with the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, and then to ensure that he had a comfortable majority in the House. And then slowly he started growing with the job as a chief minister. He became a very better administrator. He got a good grip of the bureaucracy, and then he started making made some good, important decisions. Though all along the ADMK government was being accused of being the puppet of the BJP, Edappadi Palaniswamy still managed to reach out to the people. He was seen as a common man's chief minister. He was very easily accessible. He was very simple. He was not a great speaker like Karunanidhi or Jayalalitha, but still, by sheer performance and by sheer determination, I think he has managed to fill the vacuum created by Jayalalitha's demise. On the DMK side, Stalin has consolidated his hold within the DMK. He won the 2019 elections, Lok Sabha elections, very convincingly, and he brought all the seniors, got the support of all the senior leaders with him. So much so, he could push and fast forward the succession plan by projecting his son Udayinidhi within the DMK. And though it has caused some sort of it grudgingly accepted by the seniors, but he has put a succession plan in place. So the vacuum caused by Karunanidhi and Jayalalitha's departure has mostly been filled. That is one reason why Rajinikanth wanted to come, Kamal Haasan wanted to come. Now, in spite of the absence of this vacuum, Rajinikanth was still making waves there. If Rajini and Kamal had joined hands, it would have definitely created a buzz, and that would have totally unnerved both the DMK and the ADMK. Now, that is not going to happen.
Okay, that's an interesting point that you've made, and I actually want to pick up more on what Stalin has been able to do and how much he's been able to encash. Bharat, do you want to weigh in on that? Because at the end of the day, there was a view, say 3 years ago, that with AIADMK still struggling and infighting and in shambles, DMK should be able to capitalize on that sentiment and the anti-incumbency sentiment. But today we are not too sure.
Yeah, certainly. The way the corona was handled by Mr. Edappadi Palaniswamy, see, there was no protest anywhere. People didn't hit the streets, and the numbers had really come down. And he was far more approachable. And he was seen as a simple man CM, and he could interact with anybody on the road. He would get down, he'll talk to people and go. See, these are all won him favors. But again, Stalin, as far as Stalin is concerned, see, 2016 also, he was the one who led the election because Karunanidhi was unwell that time. And the major factor this time that would help DMK, I would say, is absence of a strong third front. See, last time there was a third front, and the margin of the percentage of vote difference between ADMK and DMK was hardly around 2%. But when you translate it into the number of seats, ADMK ended up at some 120 and DMK at around 80, 87. So, but this time, with no strong third front, I think it will be an even Steven here with both the parties have strong organizational setup. They both have these two leaves and rising sun. The symbols are people know it very well, and they have their branches almost at the remote corner of the village. But this time, it is going to be the first time call for both EPS and Stalin to the people proclaiming themselves for the chief ministerial post.
Yeah.
But coming from last 2 years, I believe it is more neck and neck now, and Edapadi is fast catching up with all the other popularities. Forget 2018, it was a referendum for whether Tamil Nadu needs Modi government or not. That's a different case. But when it comes to who wants to rule the state, it will be a different mandate this time. It will be a close corner contest, maybe a photo finish.
Okay, very interesting. I'm completely out of time. Thank you to all of the panelists for joining us, with their views again. It's going to be an extremely interesting and exciting campaign season. Remember, 5 states actually go into election around the same time. And many of these are big states like West Bengal and Tamil Nadu, where it's going to be extremely interesting, the contest. In Tamil Nadu, it's still AIADMK versus DMK. Rajinikanth has bowed out even before his political career began. He cited health issues. He said it's a message from God, it's a signal from God, and I have decided to not launch the political party, which was supposed to be done just 2 days from now. So he's made his decision. And it all then now comes down to a big face-off between the two parties that have overshadowed and really ruled the political setup in the state of Tamil Nadu. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation.